Hello and welcome to Dread and Breakfast. Welcome to the breakfast portion. My name is Fabrice, and you are listening to the breakfast for the finale of season 1 of Dread and Breakfast. Welcome.
Hi, I'm also here. My name is Marissa.
Hello, I'm Christine.
Jacob, also present.
If you are listening and you haven't listened to the finale of season 1, stop. Go back. Listen to it. You're going to be spoiled.
Spoilers!
Stop in the name of spoilers before you ruin the story for yourself.
That was great. But yeah, go back and listen to that and then come back. We'll still be here. Promise. We're not going to go anywhere except to...
I might go to the coffee shop.
Well, okay. You might miss Christine, but you know, the rest of us will be here in her home without her. This is getting weird. It's fine.
I'm comfortable with that.
Okay, that's fair. That's how you know you're good friends.
Speaking of good job, Fa.
Yeah, good job!
Thank you so much.
Did it!
Yeah, finale. Woohoo!
How do you feel? How do you think it went? Do you think it achieved all you set out for it to do?
No? Maybe? I don't know.
All right, we got to start over, guys.
All right, yeah, hang on.
Yeah. Well, let's. We'll be back. We'll be back in 6 months, everyone.
If I'm ready for that.
Oh, God.
No, I'm very happy with like how everything turned out, and it was a very big, growing experience for me personally as a human.
Ditto.
And all of us, I think, as people, as podcasters, as
friends. Wait,
friends.
do you guys want to know something really adorable that I realized?
What?
Okay.
Yes.
We finished recording the story for the season 1 finale on the 2-year anniversary of when the WHO declared the pandemic to be a global pandemic.
Really?
And I had a moment when we were done recording where I thought back and was like, wow, I just finished season 1 of a podcast that didn't exist with friends, one of whom I kind of knew, the other who I was literally just starting to get to know, and the third who I did not know at all, and now they are my best friends who I would allow to be in my home even while I was not there. So it was pretty emotional.
I'm very glad a band declared it the pandemic. I'm sorry, I cut you off. I thought you were done, but that is definitely what I thought when you said the WHO. Anyway, continue with the sentiment.
The World Health Organization. I had a big. It felt. I don't know what it felt, but it felt a lot of things.
Feelings and emotions.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm feeling feelings and emotions too. Oh, I love you guys.
We love you.
Okay, so anyway, but talk to us about podcast stuff. What were your goals? What did you?
You know, it's been a long looks at watch to pretend like I can figure out how long it's been since we started recording the finale.
I have regrets.
Does not know how long it has been.
Oh, we recorded the whole thing in a week, right?
That's right. Yeah. No, you're right, Jacob. We recorded the whole finale in a week, and that's why I'm tired. Because oh man, that was such a long 58 day week. It was so many days crammed into that 1 week.
Oof.
But yeah, I hope people like it. We're recording this before I know if people like it, but it was very strange to me. I had a very clear idea. Well, not a very clear idea, but like I had a picture of what I thought the finale would be like in my head when we started the season. And then halfway through the season, I was like, oh, that doesn't make sense anymore.
Oh, oops.
Okay.
The magic of collaboration.
So we're going to take that idea and we're going to throw it in the garbage and we're going to come up with something else that's kind of sort of the same, but also very different.
I, as a player and as someone who going into the season had no idea what orcs meant and then helped author part of it, I thought it was so freaking cool to figure out where they were and end up in their like main zone. Like that was
Oh,
really
good, I'm
cool.
glad.
I have many questions about orcs though, if I may get
boy.
into them.
Let us get into it. That's what we're
Sure.
here for, is it not?
How did these motherfuckers end up in a repurposed missile silo in the Arctic?
They bought it on the cheap.
On
The
eBay?
Missile silo.
No!
What?
On eBay.
Yeah.
That's where you buy things, especially for ghosts.
Yep. Someone was
Jake-
selling
It's where
it.
you buy ghost containers.
Jacob, Shadow can't be. Is Shadow here? Because you have a lot of
We're
bags
going
that
to
you
save
haven't opened.
surprises for the surprise segment.
Hey, remember when I was like, you can come in my house and be there while I'm not there? If you have that doll, I will rescind that privilege from you.
Anyway,
So, they bought a missile silo, and how did they do that? I don't remember what your
Fiction,
question was.
maybe?
A whole lot of stuff
Well,
happened.
I accidentally established that orcs was kind of loaded, so I
Yeah.
never really had a reason for why they were loaded. So maybe that's
They
just one of those.
As many other like shady government organizations, they just have money, is kind of my thought.
That's the other thing, is Maroon said that they were a secret government organization.
Mm-hmm.
Which government?
Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
What does that mean?
Their
It means
own
yes.
government.
Oh my god.
The government.
This is like some Illuminati shit.
Or it was a lie and they don't actually work for the government because Maroon is not the most honest of humans.
What?
No, couldn't be.
He was such a delightful character to hate. Like, I love to hate Maroon.
Yeah, I was hoping. I don't know. I feel like I could have done a better job with Maroon, but I feel like that about all of the things that I do all the time.
Hello, you are an artist.
Yeah, it's a rough life. It's a fun one, though.
Okay, so speaking about their base, can
Yeah.
you talk to me about what it was like creating that? Because you did a really good job of, like, making it feel like a very living world, especially once we got in there, because there were a lot of doors we didn't go through. There were a lot of doors that someone may have
many
kicked
doors.
open.
Exactly.
There were so many doors that one person
Who
thought
could that be?
that thought that a certain other very specific person in this room would walk past on their way running from a horrible, terrible thing, and maybe someone in this room put doors there to make the place seem a lot bigger.
Knew
And
it.
then-
yeah, you were
and
like,
then-
oh, it's locked. I was like, he did not plan for this.
I did. I had stuff in there, but I also was like keeping mind of like, okay,
Wait,
it's been a
but so
while
what's
now.
in there? I want to know.
Yeah.
Oh, there's stuff in there. There's
Like
really
what?
cool, like really.
This
really
is the
cool
time for you to tell us the
Oh, I
very
mean-
cool stuff.
So, okay, my problem is I come from a background of not playing Dread, but mostly playing like Dungeons and Dragons and kind of similar-ish games that aren't for podcasts, which means I don't care how long it takes people to explore a zone because they're having fun, and as long as the players are having fun and you're having fun running it, it's a good game. But like when it's for a podcast, your players can't spend 10 episodes just looking through the whole orc space. So I came in with a lot of ideas for like, oh man, and yeah, I could put that in there, and I should put like a wandering cryptid in the bottom. Like I thought about like Bigfoot or a Yeti or something, and it would be a thing that would just be like walking around, and they would interact with that, and then have to deal with it.
It's interesting that you say wandering cryptid, though, because it felt like there was with the big scary footsteps, but that was just Orchid.
That was just a
like
lie.
corralling us to where he wanted to go, right? Like that was all fake.
That was Orchid corralling you guys to the plot, yeah.
Wow. Oh, but one other thing before we get into Orchid, because I do really want to talk about Orchid.
Yeah.
So the Yeti. Ava saw a Yeti in the Arctic, and Indigo, her best friend who everyone hated for a hot second, oops, said that lined up with their like timeline. Did a Yeti escape at one point? Like,
yeah, like they had.
no.
I feel like they had like they've had a bunch of goof 'em ups, a bunch of whoopsies,
many of which you have heard throughout the season.
Yeah,
apparently.
basically. Like I didn't want this to be like My idea for orcs is that they're competent, but they're also dealing with stuff that they don't really understand.
They're out of their depth.
Yeah, they're out of their depth, and so sometimes things are gonna go wrong. So when he was talking about like their timeline of events, like because Orchid had been such a problem, like a Yeti had gotten out.
Cool.
I would really like to talk about Orchid.
Sure.
If that's okay.
Let's talk about my big boy, my big octopus friend, my noodly guy. He's got his little peepers all over his body.
Bad
Times.
So did you know when we were recording Phasmophobia Deep Sea Adventure that creature would be the big bad of the season?
No, but I did know after.
Oh,
yeah.
Interesting.
He got a really good response.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what was it? Our response that made you want to bring him in as the big bad?
Yeah.
Or okay, interesting.
Ooh.
And I also thought like, oh, this could work, and this would then be a through line. So like, this is the thing. I'm bad at planning, so I was like, yeah, orcs. It's the Oddity Research and Containment Specialists. Great, check. What do? Well, they obviously research and contain oddities. Done. Awesome. Totally aced that test. And then how do we introduce or show that? I didn't. I just left that answer blank. So when I realized, okay, cool, orcs is a through line, but that's not really enough to like put a whole story on, especially with like how they had been like very tangential in the first couple stories.
Yeah.
And Orchid I was like, oh, that's a cool bad guy. That's a cool power. I like doing creepy voices. Yeah, let's go with that.
And just from the emotional cloud that I live on, we all love Deep Sea so much, and it felt so much like we captured lightning in a bottle kind of story. So knowing now that it had such a big influence on where the podcast then headed as a whole makes me feel delighted.
Good.
And it, I think, also speaks to the power of collaboration, which I know I learned over these past 2 years how to collaborate with others in meaningful ways, and I learned how to trust my collaborators and what that looks like through actively doing it with you three. So
it's been a fun
this
time.
Has been Christine's emotional moment, part 3.
In terms of the like nitty gritty of Orchid, how did he get out? Because like we see him at the end of Deep Sea when he's descending down into the ocean, and he eats Bartholomew Orchid and gets 2 eyes. And then the next time we see him, he's breaking out of a cryo tank. Yeah. So what is the in between?
He eats some people.
Great.
He goes to the orcs base to exact Bartholomew's revenge, because Bartholomew's like the most control-y part of the thing. Bartholomew gives the creature its like form and like is like the like not the core, but like core adjacent,
like the dominant persona.
Yeah.
What does that say about Orchid as a person? Because this thing started as a monster, and then we started referring to it as Orchid,
and it said like, my name isn't 169, my name is Orchid.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's a parasite. So it went there, ate some people along the way, got there, started wrecking shop. They figure out a way to freeze it. And I don't know how stuff like this works. But like my thought was, because it comes from the ocean kind of idea, and it's like it's wet and noodly on its own, they didn't like fully freeze it, and so that's how you got like the bump bump heartbeat. And like, so part of it stayed not frozen.
Oh, kind of like when frogs hibernate under the ground or something.
Ooh.
And so like most of it was frozen, and it just took time for it to grow out of that.
For its heart to grow 3 times the size.
So it could eat 3 times the people.
Speaking of people that Orchid ate, I have never been more stressed in my entire life than for the final episode when I had to play Orchid pretend, like Marissa had to pretend to be Orchid who was pretending to be Ava, and it was so stressful.
You did it so well, though.
Yes.
I had figured out in the several weeks between when we recorded those parts, I'd figured out that you were probably that.
Why? Because Bob refused to let us listen to each other's tracks.
Yeah, there was that and just other clues.
You guys are so much smarter than me.
So I was pretty dang certain that you were a monster, and I was trying to hide that for the sake of the podcast and it making sense. But at one point we were taking a break, and I looked at you. And I was like, "You're doing such a good job at lying." And you're like, "I don't know what you mean." And you convinced me. I was like, maybe I'm wrong.
Did I?
You did. Not totally, because I knew in my heart, but enough that I doubted myself.
Jacob, in that moment, like, because I am so bad at lying.
See, here's the thing, though, you're not.
Yeah, you did a great job is the thing, because I knew and I thought I was going to get you by calling you out point blank.
You almost did, bud.
You made me doubt myself, so good job lying.
Remember when I was like, and I learned to trust my collaborators?
But as stressful as it was, kudos to you, Fob, because that was such a very cool mechanic of like, okay, you're going to play the big bad, and every time you do something, you lose time. And when your time runs out, you're fucked. Like it added a stress level to me and to the listeners who like knew that. In addition to the stress of Christine and Jacob, who didn't know what was going on. But there was a lot of dramatic irony, like throughout the entire finale, not just in the last episode, because like we as players had played through the Deep Sea story, and we as players knew the significance of what C-169 meant and could do.
Oh my gosh.
Our characters had no fucking idea.
It was so hard. There was one moment in particular where I had figured out that Melanie was Orchid.
Mm-hmm.
But Hannes had not figured that out. And I didn't know if you guys had figured it out either. Mm. And so I was screaming to myself about how I had a theory, and I had to write it down because I knew that for the story to make sense, Hannes has to see something. And that's why he kept asking, what do their eyes look like? All of these things, trying to notice things so that Hannes could get there because I was already there.
Yes.
And,
it was so, and like, Fob,
that was a good time.
You did such a good fucking job of like preventing that, because like I also as like a player had figured it out, but like because Orchid kept making those footsteps and making us move, Hannes didn't have a chance to tell any of us what was in the files at all. Right. So we had nothing to go on. And also it was like, okay, I'm playing a character who's a protective, like, motherly figure, and here's a child. Like, so it was so hard for me to like there was no way Ava was gonna do that. Also because like Indigo just locked us in a room. I know Indigo is a delightfully adorable man based on the minisodes, and I love him. Ava doesn't know who this guy is, you know? Like, oh, it was so hard.
And the other decision when Ava, before they went in the room, when Melanie transformed, Hannes wasn't sure, and Ava gave him the command to go. And I know... and I think that was a great choice, but that was a hard one to make for you personally as a player, because you know it's the wrong choice, but narratively it makes sense and it is the best choice to do in that situation. And I feel like you and I as friends had to be like, I still like you. We're like, fine. Okay. We're fine. Our characters are dumb and in conflict now, but I love you still. Like, it's all good.
But yeah, it was sorry, I feel like I'm asking all of the questions.
Do it. Ask as many as you want.
You're good at it.
Oh, thanks. But also playing into that was like the fact that we all had a session that we did solo and couldn't talk about or listen to.
Oh, the solo sessions were really fun.
Yeah, can you like walk me through that? Because like, at least for me, that was the most scared I have ever been playing Dread.
Good.
As a player, I felt apprehensive because it's like, okay, all of the narrative weight is on like you and me now, and like no one else is there for us to lean on. Also, I'm doomed. Also, The scene with Orchid in the icebox was fucking horrible because like no one could help me. There was no way out of it. And there's this thing. Oh my God.
It was really interesting playing a solo scene. I enjoyed it because I love character work. And that was a moment where it was all character work. It was all, you have to know your character. You have to know how they're going to respond in this moment. You can't look to anyone else for how to respond. I really enjoyed it, and I hope that came across in the final.
I'm glad that you liked it.
Jacob, how was killing a big spider?
Yeah, that was fun. It was different for sure and nerve-wracking, but kind of fun to be able to just bam, 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 do stuff in quick succession and not spend 15 minutes outside of one door.
Yeah.
Looking around. So yeah.
Listen, sometimes we just want to make sure that we get all the information there is to get.
That's true. And then after that, I noticed no more doors in the corridors.
Yeah.
It was like, there's a door at the end of the corridor. You can go to there if you want. So,
good.
Nice adapting, Fob. You got us moving.
And as we were recording, the moment when we all finally came back together, that might be one of my favorite moments of us recording the entire season, because you two were like, who set the fire? And I was like, there was no fire. And just grappling with each other when we all had information that we didn't have and have just gone through horrifying things, which I later then put into context what a golden retriever sized spider would be like and what it would be like to put an axe into one. And I legitimately shrieked because I just thought about it for a second too long. Anyway, the scene where we came back together, there was so much emotion happening and so much unknown, but the visual in my head of the three characters poking their heads into the silo and Emery being awake and your freaking line about magnesium. I wrote it down because it was so good.
The magnesium worked really well.
Yes. Such a good... You had so many good one-liners in this story.
I think everybody did. Jacob is the king of wit and just has the best quips, as my mother will attest. She's your biggest fan. And then Hannes had so many good... everyone had... It was so good.
I really liked the reckless disregard that each of you had when making polls, when it was just you to make the polls.
I refused one to save them, and it didn't help.
Good job. But I loved how it was like, once your friends don't see how bad you're making the tower for them in the future, you're like, let's go for it.
I want to push back on that, though, because the thing is that in those solo sessions, you don't have anyone else to rely on. It's the player, the DM, and the tower. Yeah. There are no other players that can help out in any way. So it's not necessarily that it's reckless polling. There are no other options.
You can still refuse the poll.
But then what happens?
Then you get a consequence and something bad happens to you.
And that's what I'm saying, is that sometimes when you're with the entire party, the rest of the people can help to mitigate that consequence.
Yeah.
Now, don't split the party.
It was, I don't know. I mean, I was going hard but I did want to get the tower to a place where it was like, maybe someone else might die again.
Gee, thanks.
And then it happened, and that was great, and it worked out super well.
So much death this time.
I legitimately cried when Hannes died.
But shall we speak about our characters?
Before we do that, I have to run to the bathroom.
Good luck.
3.5 minutes later.
Who wants to go first?
You on the list.
Oh, it is me. It was fun being boss mom, but I hate being in charge of anything. I hate making decisions. I hate the pressure. And so Fob knows this and was like, yeah, you're going to be the leader. I'm like, oh, good. Oh, great. So that was weird. But Ava and Deirdre, who was only in it for like a hot second, that woman is insane. So the reason Ava hated Deirdre so much was because, one, you met her. And that's her boss. And also because it's Deirdre, like she knew that Ava really liked astronomy, but she kept getting it confused with astrology and kept asking Ava about her horoscope that Ava fucking hated. So just for funsies, the day we were supposed to start recording the finale, I looked up the horoscopes for that day, just on a whim to see if it would come up. I have since lost them because it's been several months, but it was like, you're feeling lost and like, wow, like trust your inner compass and like you might encounter unexpected problems today, like stupid shit like that. And then the helicopter crashed and everyone died. So I'm like, yep. You know what, Virgo? It was right for you today.
It's almost like they write those to be generally applicable.
Yes.
Was there anything about Ava that you didn't get to lean into as much as you would have wanted to?
Yes, there was, because like you and I had talked about this, Christine, where Ava and Hannes had an inside joke.
Yes, we did.
Where like Ava, her favorite poem was The Wasteland by T.S. Eliot, and there are a lot of phrases in different languages in The Wasteland, German included, and Ava could never pronounce them to save her life, and so they would like mispronounce the poem at each other as a joke, and I just couldn't find a way to work it in that didn't feel horribly out of place.
Yeah, we were too busy dealing with life-threatening horror
and stuff, so I wish that had come out more, especially given where Hannes and Ava's friendship ended. And another thing that didn't, I guess it came out a little bit, but like Ava and Gavin were also really close because like Ava was Gavin's like mentor. And I loved Gavin. He was so fun. And again, Jacob, sole survivor of the story.
Gavin did not deserve that.
I think he
did.
Way.
How did you enjoy being the sole survivor, Gavin? Jacob
as
Gavin.
It was stressful. I had to make big decisions about how to conclude the story in a pleasing way, and that was very hard.
What is Gavin's favorite snack that Emery has on him at all times?
I think we said this, and I forget because we recorded it many weeks ago. Chex Mix.
Ooh,
okay.
Original?
Bold.
Ooh,
bolder,
yes.
more flavor, whatever that one's called.
Extra Chex.
Chex-tra.
Yeah,
Chex-tra.
that one.
I just had a vision of Gavin and Emery in the cafeteria making like puppy chow with like Chex Mix.
That's a sweet idea. And then Emery's dead, right?
What does Gavin do now?
I don't know.
Go to therapy?
Yeah.
Gavin already had some abandonment stuff that was not a part of the podcast.
Tell us!
So, all I'll say is for inspiration and backstory, I once again turned to 2004 Disney classic, National Treasure.
Oh my god!
One scene in particular. And if anyone can tell me what it is, the first person who can tell me what it is, I'll send them a cookie. Somehow. Yes.
Going back slightly, Gavin and Emery, did you have that established that they had such a close bond before we started recording, or was that something that just occurred naturally and organically as we went?
We had established that he was my source of snacks. So everything else developed out of that.
Really? Because you and Emery had such a kick-ass conversation of like, well, where do monsters come from? Like in the first episode, it was so good.
Yeah, unplanned. That all came up naturally. Natural improv. We do that here occasionally.
Was there anything about Gavin in his character sheet that didn't come out, or something that you'd thought about that you didn't really get to play to?
I could have played to his backstory more.
What is his backstory? Why is Gavin in the Arctic?
You have to watch the 2004 Disney classic National Treasure to find out. One scene in particular. Good luck with figuring out which scene. I don't think I gave any clues to this, so you're basically going to have to guess.
Oh, I'm so excited for the tweets that will occur. But I think that leaves everyone's favorite German man. Christine, please. How did you come up with Hannes? From the moment you opened your mouth, I was like enamored.
So I have a brain that won't stop sometimes, and I have a running list of little threads of characters that I have come up with that are just like, what does this mean? I don't know. When will I get to play this character? Who knows? But it's just something that makes me laugh, and so I write it down.
I like that.
And my initial note for what became Hannes was German scholar who is obsessed with one small part about pop culture. The obsession moved from pop culture to his dog.
Yes!
Fob had teased that we were going to be in the Arctic, and so I thought what kind of people might be there, and so I thought scientists, and I was like, oh, it'd be fun to play like a German scientist. And I had to learn a German accent, so
you did so well.
Great job.
I watched so many YouTube videos about how to do a German accent, and I don't know how accurate my German accent is. I will say that it probably wasn't perfection, but I enjoyed playing it as an homage sort of to some people that I know from Germany who I met while I studied abroad, and so it was just fun to think about them and then butcher their beautiful language. I'm sorry. So yeah, Hannes was fun because he was really logical and straightforward, which I am not all the time. But it was fun to, what is the logical reaction to this, particularly in the face of all this shit that is happening, and is he able to suspend his disbelief, which I think maybe played to my advantage because I chose to not interact with the orchid voice in my head, and
the backwards bone ghost, which was fucking horrifying.
Yeah, so I really loved playing Hannes. And I know that it took us so long to record the finale, but I really loved being able to inhabit Hannes for that long, which I think is why his death hit me so hard, because I loved Hannes so much I named my espresso machine after him. So
was there anything about Hannes that didn't come out?
Well, Hannes did have a secret.
You must tell me, Christine.
So, his good dog Gunter? Yeah, there's a little more to his backstory.
I was going to ask about Gunter next, Christine.
So, the line that we all know and love is that Gunter was found. He just arrived at the base. He had no tags. He was assumed to be from a film crew or something. And so then Hannes, being the industrial man that he is, decided that he would train him so that he could be useful. Gunter had tags when he arrived.
No, he fucking did not.
He did, yes.
Oh my. What?
And so Hannes, being such a lone wolf in persona, he's actually really lonely.
Aww.
And so when he found this dog, he took the tags off of the dog and hid them away and never told anyone about it.
I think stole is a better metaphor.
Hannes didn't steal. Like, Gunter did arrive at the base.
No, yes, but like forced adoption.
Oh, yes, yeah, no, but but the idea being that if you are negligent enough to not keep hold of your dog up in the Arctic, you probably don't deserve that dog. So now this is my dog. Fair.
I have a question though.
Yes.
What did the tag say?
Yeah.
1 secret base drive, Arctic.
Yeah.
11111.
So I didn't actually write that. I don't know, Fob, if you had ideas about that, or if it was just
I had ideas. It was going to be the guy that Maroon says. I have Clay.
Which bonkers color names this time.
Clay's a great color.
Sky? Clay? I think you might have named somebody Deep.
Navy?
Deep Blue?
Yeah, Deep Blue. Yeah.
Like, I thought Carrot was bad. Apparently, Carrot is par for the course.
Carrot
says the woman who deemed the ghost Old Knucklebones. So
yeah, I really don't think
let's remember what we're doing here. But yeah, so Gunter was Clay's dog.
Yeah.
And Gunter reacted to the base in specific ways. Talk about that a little bit, Fob, because I I struggled with this because Hannes is supposed to be so in tune with Gunter that at one point he can actually understand his barks and woos as real words. But I didn't really know what you were doing all of the time and what his signals were supposed to mean. And if that was Gunter was afraid of this place, Gunter was experiencing something ghostly, Gunter was alerting to danger. Talk about
that. Mostly the danger one. So like Gunter was experiencing like ghostly stuff. Gunter was experiencing like circling back to Gavin and Gavin's nose bleeding.
Yes.
That was Orchid getting into Gavin's like head, and is why at the end when Orchid is very much not okay, it's why Orchid can talk to Gavin but can't talk to anyone else in their brains because Orchid's already like there.
Oh.
But like for a second he was kind of like broadcasting on like a wide band trying to just kind of, you know, catch some fish and eat them. And so for a minute Gunter was part of that, and Gunter was like hearing things and not knowing what was going on and like kind of freaking out. And so that was supposed to like, I did it poorly, I think, but like Gunter was supposed to be like foreshadowing that like something really weird is happening in this place.
Mm-hmm. And there was a moment, like one of my 3 Orchid tallies was when Gunter came up and started barking, and I texted you like, I'm gonna hide. Because I was like, okay, if I can hide from Gunter, then, you know, like these two, because he was reacting to like, you are not Ava. And I had to like, that was one of my check marks is, nope, I'm Ava.
Yeah,
nice
you
dog.
had to use one of your things.
Yeah, and then you like cleaned yourself off and you were like, oh, it's
that was
the
all
goop.
a lie.
You got me.
Yeah, it was great. But yeah, so that was part of what Gunter was doing. The other part was Gunter was like remembering this place and like had like an idea of like where stuff was, how to get places. Oh. So like Gunter knew the layout, but couldn't really communicate that necessarily to all of you specifically.
Because we didn't know how to ask him for what he
Hannes would have known that.
But what did Gunter's tags say? Like, did he have a name, or was it just like ORCS, whatever?
Oh, he had a designation. I forget what it was. I have it written down in my like.
He was like D-001.
D-001. I like that. We'll go with that. That's probably better than what I thought of.
Speaking of good boys, let's talk about all of your fucking NPCs.
I had a few other things about Hannes. They're very short.
Sure.
So while I was developing Hannes, I came across a post on Tumblr that I saved, and I wanted this to come out so bad, and there just never was a moment. But it's talking about the symptoms of hypothermia and a way to remember what they are and how they progress. And it is the Umbles begin to appear. And I read this and I was like, this would sound really great in a German accent.
Please say it for us right now.
When the hypothermia kicks in, the Umbles begin to appear. First you have the grumbles, and then the mumbles, then the fumbles, the stumbles, and finally the tumbles. The Umbles worsen as the hypothermia sets in.
Very good.
I need Hannes to read me as children's storybooks because that would be very good.
Oh, that'd be pretty fun.
Maybe we can do this
Hannes story time
as a bonus for at some point.
Yeah,
story time from the beyond with Hannes.
Aw, that's fun. I like that.
Wholesome and existentially terrifying.
But yeah, so the NPCs. Gia, you want to talk about my boys?
You had so many boys and gals.
Too many boys, too many gals, too many peeps.
I would like to talk about the highlights. First of all, good old Captain Indigo, Captain
Love
Crunch.
That man.
It was so fun getting to see him in the minisodes and then finally interact with him as a character.
Yes.
But I do have a question.
Sure.
At one point, Indigo left wet footprints on the carpet. And was he, because Orchid leaves wet shit.
Yeah, I thought about that after we finished.
What does that mean?
The classic red herring. He had been downstairs and it was wet downstairs, so his feet were still...
Even with all that grading that you so specifically pointed out all the time?
No, because he was downstairs in he and Orchid had been in the elevator zone and like other places. So he had just been in like tons of wet spots.
Because like in the minisode before the finale, Orchid is already upstairs.
Yes.
And then Indigo and Orc's people, I guess, corral him back to the basement and contain him.
Yes.
So that's where he got wet.
Yeah.
Got you.
It was just a red herring. I wanted people to mistrust Indigo, and I wanted people to be thinking that maybe
did
he's...
it.
It
well,
worked.
yeah, it wasn't hard.
We shot him with a fork.
Yeah.
Oh, can we talk about the film crew?
The film crew.
The film
mistake.
boys.
Yes.
What do you mean?
If I were to redo this story again, I think I'd cut the film crew out and have Orchid be the source of the distress signal. Like Orchid downstairs is like sending out a distress beacon to send people to the orc space. Yeah, like that was a whoopsie on my part.
Was cool too.
Yeah. Well, because also
well, they go. Okay, so the crew is fun for this one reason.
the film crew, as I understand it, was like our backup characters.
Yes.
Like Bob and I had talked, like if you had figured out that I was Orchid before like the end of the episode, I had a character sheet for Carlos. And I would have come in and played that lovely man, which is why Carlos had a bunch of shit at the end of the episode, because I think you asked me a question like, what useful things have you stolen from the orc space? So I'm like, a Polaroid camera, and then, Silverglass is a thing. I'm like, great, I took 3 of them.
Yeah.
And shit.
That's
But
so cool.
what would have been... Okay, let's do some rapid fire questions. What
Let's
was
go.
in the rune room that Hannes went into that wasn't powered?
Yes.
The
I'm
one where the
curious.
runes were like all over the place and everything?
Yeah,
Yes.
I had no idea what to do in there, and I was like, something cool might be here, and then I didn't do anything with it.
So that was me trying to give you guys like options for like other stuff to do and how to handle things. That's a big containment room. That's like a big spot that if you put something in, it could like just hold it there for maybe a little bit. But like
interesting.
that's
I
like
never
there's-
would have thought to do
I mean,
that.
yeah, there's not, again, this is my designing for like a D&D campaign thing more than like a dread zone. So it's like I built other stuff that's like, oh, this would be kind of cool.
Now
but,
that
like,
you
that's not gonna
say
be a
this,
thing.
this makes so much sense because there was a contained ghost there. Duh. Okay, I need to get smarter.
You are smart.
It's one, like, it sounds obvious when I say it, but that's because I'm the one that wrote the words on the paper.
That's true, yeah.
Why did some chutes empty out into the middle of fucking hallways?
Yeah, what's going on with the chutes?
It's poor design, man.
But, okay.
Also, like so they would, okay. So when they got to the base, they would have a thing, right?
Mhm.
And if they wanted to study it, they'd put it in a red chute, the corresponding color. And if they needed to just, it's like, oh, this is dangerous. We need to just get this out.
Yeet.
You yeet it in a yellow chute. And they go
Yellow
to different
for yeet.
and they go to different places. And sometimes they empty out into the middle of hallways because there's just going to be like a bin there. And when that bin gets full, someone's going to come and like wheel the bin somewhere where they can like take care of it.
There's just a bin of haunted dolls just in the hallway. People have to walk around.
Yeah.
Sounds like my house.
No, Jacob.
Amazing.
Okay, one more question.
Go for it.
What was in the big thing in the icebox?
Yeti.
Ah.
Oh, we were so close.
But
Yes, Marissa?
Jacob,
Things Jacob cut out of the podcast.
I have a question for you.
Okay.
Are you going to hurt me this evening?
So I'm going to need everybody to close their
Oh,
eyes.
no. It's happening again. I don't even. You are my friend.
Jacob,
you are
I
my
don't want to
good
close
friend.
my eyes.
You did.
You have to, though. It's in the
He did
podcast
this-
contract.
He did this to us at Christmas too. I legitimately was at work terrified that he was going to put a doll on my doorstep and I wasn't going to be able to stop it. So you just
Jacob, I am trembling. No! Wrestling!
That's a zipper.
I'm fine, actually. Like, this is not.
Okay. 3, 2, 1, go. It's literally nothing. Guys, it's nothing. It's just whatever was in my backpack.
Oh,
This is
man.
Okay, who's ready for things Jacob cut out of the podcast? We want to make sure it gets shared anyway. Oh, if I could find a way to put a doll in an MP3 and play it back, I would do this right now.
You just play like the rustling and like, this is Shadow clapping their hands. And it's just like the
No.
bone sound.
Let's see. These are things from Deep Sea that I could have shared last time, but I had better plans.
That's
The thing I said last time about how we're getting better at podcasting and more of the funny stuff is making it into the podcast and less good stuff is what's getting cut. That is true. But here's a couple of, I believe these are all songs for your listening pleasure.
Yes.
I'm afraid to ask what stories Patrice tells Billy.
All kinds of really fun stories. The favorite one that she likes to tell is the one about these fairies that live together in the forest, and they all take care of each other, and they're all best friends, and they have like acorn hats that they wear, and they have this fall festival that they throw all the time, and they're just like really happy, and they're little fey creatures, and they're wonderful, and they always are together because friends are always together, and your friends don't leave you, and they're just really happy. And do you have a friend? And I hope you have a friend. And fairies, sometimes when they dance around, they make soup for each other. It's really nice. It's a nice time. These are the stories that Patrice tells.
That one's not a song. I forgot.
That is such whiplash from Hannes. Oh my gosh.
I just love watching you, Christine, like just word vomit all over the audio podcast. It's great. It's so fun.
I also like watching you, Christine, go through the periods of confusion and horror as you hear yourself say something you don't remember saying.
Right. That was fun to watch.
I do have one more.
Oh.
Dun, 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 dun. Some mysteries cannot be explained. At least not yet.
I react to the world by laughing at it and singing. I don't know what to say.
This is beautiful.
Well, it wasn't a doll this time.
It was suspiciously delightful. Thank you.
More dolls saved up for the next time we home together. Or for Christmas.
Shadow can't come to brunch. She's not invited.
It wouldn't be as fun to just make you see Shadow again. Like,
Shadow's not
there's got to be a new doll.
Christine, I have a question similar to the question that Marissa asked Jacob when she was asking about how gelatinous is the food gonna be this time?
Let us find out, shall we?
Oh, no!
Musical transition.
Oh, shit. It smells suspiciously delightful.
Yeah, I'm worried.
Perhaps I will regain some trust with this one.
Christine, last time you fed me a bouncy ball.
It would have functioned perfectly well as a bouncy ball, I feel like.
This is going to be pretty freaking good to make up for it. All right, close your eyes.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
That's my bet.
Oh no. Guys, we can't just constantly be closing our eyes.
All right, ready?
I guess.
Open your eyes.
Wow!
Ooh.
It's shrimpy. I knew I smelled shrimp.
Oh, this is beautiful.
That looks very
there's
good.
noodles in there.
Please join me for Squid Inklinguini with shrimp.
Ooh. All my suspicions are gone. That was just wonderful.
I have never had squid ink pasta before.
I do not believe I have.
Ooh. So I would ask how this relates to the story, but I do think I have a pretty good idea.
I'm curious.
Oh, do tell.
The squid and his horrible black acre blood.
Also, Hannes was a giant, and now we're eating shrimp.
Ah, I like that.
So at a certain point in the story, we joked about ghost noodles.
Oh my god, we did. You remember everything.
I don't. I wrote it down. So I thought, at first I was like, how can I make translucent noodles? And I was like, that's going to get gelatinous real fast. And so then I remembered that there are black squid ink noodles. And that, like you said, Marissa, does fit in very well with the ichor of orchid. So please enjoy.
It is so good.
Yeah, it's a
I'm
very
glad.
nice, bright, citrusy pasta.
Yeah, I really like this. This is really, really good, Christine.
Good.
Ooh, talk to me about how you prepared this.
Yeah, so it's very simple. I just made it in 15 minutes. I did a little bit of mise en place before you got here. But like any good basic pasta dish, you saute shallots and garlic in olive oil and butter. Then once that's ready, you add some seasoned shrimp. Salt and pepper was all I put on it.
You let that saute for a couple minutes, throw the pasta in while that's happening, flip them over when they start to curl up, then deglaze with wine, which I forgot to do, but I think it worked out fine. I just kind of threw the wine in later and I was like, oh, shoot. But yeah, then once the pasta's ready, you add that directly so it brings some of the pasta water with it. Add the juice and zest of 1 lemon, another couple pats of butter, and then you just kind of stir that in till it's all ready, and voila, here we have Dread and Breakfast pasta.
It is so good, and it's so balanced. I don't know how to describe the squidding, but there's like a little hint of something in there.
It's a nice brininess.
Yeah.
It brings a little more ocean to it.
A breath of the ocean in everything.
Oh, there's also basil garnished on this.
The shrimp is also really good.
Thanks, Whole Foods. I knew they would devein it for me, and I didn't want to do that, so...
I will have seconds and thirdsies.
Yeah, we'll finish this for sure.
Yeah, I wanted to make something that would be thematic, but I knew I could hit out of the park as kind of a thank you for riding along with me on all my wild, sometimes cursed ideas.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. It was very nice.
I would have brought tissues. I'm going to cry for like the 3rd time because everyone's all being nice. And
I can be mean if you want. Would
Okay.
that help?
Well,
hit me. Do it.
No, because then she'll cry being sad.
Well, we're going to go for it. I'll just say, this is very good. I don't know how in the vein of Christine's Kitchen it is. This dish, I could find this on SeriousEats.com probably. I don't know how experimental it is.
that's fine.
Okay. Meanness achieved. The end.
Christine's Kitchen is for me to follow my whims and force it into the podcast, which done.
Mission accomplished then.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to do something nice for you guys
Aw.
before we did
you.
what we're going to do in the brunch.
That's where we get to do something nice for you.
Yeah, that's
This is-
exactly what's happening. So, ladies and gentlemen, may I announce the inaugural Dread and Breakfast Brunch Smackdown! So what's going to happen is that we have a brunch episode coming up, which is going to be like a breakfast for the whole season. And I will not be in the kitchen, but you 3 will be in the kitchen. Oh my. Oh no.
Can I say,
Yes.
you have already given us a little rules and regulations. It is going to be Great British Bake Off style. Ish.
Somewhat. I've not seen Great British Bake Off,
Oh,
but I
what's the
have seen
other-
Chopped.
It is, yeah, there will be a secret
There is
ingredient.
a secret ingredient which you all must incorporate into your dishes. Would you like to know what it is?
I would.
Yes.
Chickpeas.
Ooh.
Why?
Because I like them. We will be bringing in some guest judges.
Yes, we need a panel.
So
a
we
tribunal.
will have a tribunal of friends of the podcast who will be coming to join to judge. So keep this in mind as well. You also may not use tomatoes, bell peppers, paprika, or other pepper things that will hurt me because your girl is intolerant to nightshades.
Ooh, rip.
That is limiting.
It is.
That's
but welcome
true.
to my world.
Thank you.
So there will be a couple categories of scoring. Ingenuity. Relation to a story in season 1.
Ooh.
Appearance. Edibility.
I like how you chose the word edibility and not taste, because that
No, I
does
appreciate
presume it must be consumed.
Well, my taste may be different from another panelist, so edibility. Oh, and general chaos.
Exceptional.
I've
Very
got this.
good.
I've got this on lock. Y'all are going down. I've got this.
Oh,
I already
I'm ready.
know. I've got this.
But as Christine said, it will be a breakfast for like the entire season. So if you have questions, comments, concerns, fashion tips for us about any of the stories, about any of the characters, if you have questions for our artists, for Eli or Grey Voice who write music for us, like literally anything, tweet at us, Instagram us.
We're on Twitter at DreadandBFast and Instagram at DNBPod. Or we have an email, dreadandbreakfastpod@gmail.com.
We're very excited for that. I am, at least.
Oh, I'm very excited.
It'll be really fun.
Also, there will be a season 2.
Oh yeah, season 2.
Eventually.
Eventually.
Season 2 of Dread and Breakfast coming to an ear on you. Coming eventually.
And in between, we have some very delightfully things planned for in between seasons, including an extended things Jacob cut out of the podcast blooper reel.
It's so good so far.
It's pretty spectacular. I'm tempted to just end the episode so I can eat more pasta.
We can't end without giving this a final rating for the season.
Ooh, what should we rate it in? Icker? Squids?
Yes, squids. 5 squids for taste and eatability. 1 squid for ingenuity.
Oh!
I'll take it.
I give this 12 out of 5 squids. Woo! This was very good, and I will eat more.
I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm 5 out of 5 on all the categories that you said, and I did not remember.
Is this blessed?
Indeed.
This is blessed, the most angelic thing I have consumed.
On the podcast.
Well, there you have it. If you would like to recreate this dish for yourself at home, I highly suggest that you do because it's delicious. I'm going to be making this much more frequently than I have previously, which was never. You can find the recipe for this dish and every other dish in the season on our website, dnbpod.com.
Woo!
Roll credit.
Yee! See you for brunch. We'll bring mimosas.
Chickpea mimosas.
This episode sponsored by General Chaos, because I don't know what that means.
Hey, thanks for coming over for breakfast. We should do this again. Same time and place for brunch in 2 weeks? Perfect. You send us questions on Twitter at DreadandBeFast, on Instagram at DNBPod, on, what's this? Tumblr at DreadandBreakfast, or write to our email, dreadandbreakfastpod@gmail.com. We'll take care of the rest. I've got it in my calendar already. This will be so fun.
Thanks to Eli Schneider for our theme song and original music. You can find more from him and his band Open Doors on Spotify. One more gigantic thank you to Cherry Sorbet for the wonderful Phasmophobia artwork. We absolutely adore it, and we hope you all do too. You can find more cherry goodness at Cherry Sorbet on Twitch, Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. Season 1 is complete! Woo! If you've enjoyed this or any of the stories throughout the season, why don't you go leave a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify? Or, even better, tell a friend about the show. It's great. There's an entire season available. You can just binge the whole thing. Perfect. Also, you know we're already plotting and planning Season 2. We've got so much in store. Just you wait. But until then, send in your questions for brunch, all the nitty-gritty details. Dread tells all! Or at least the things we can remember. See you all dreadfully soon!